everyone, and welcome back to the Owl Pod, the official podcast of Temple Athletics. I'm your host, Kevin Kopp, and we'll hear from our student-athlete co-hosts, David Litfin and Amelia Wright, later on in today's show. A little bit of housekeeping news before we get started today. The Owl Pod is splitting up. It is not as bad as it sounds. We are actually doubling your Owl Pod. We're going to twice a week. We're moving to Tuesdays and Fridays starting this Tuesday. David and Amelia, they cannot be contained. They need their own show. They are going to move to Tuesdays, bring you a weekly recap of everything going on in Temple Athletics, and of course, the same great candid conversations, student-athlete to student-athlete, that they've been doing with us as part of our show since our launch. I will be staying with you on Fridays. We'll get to continue talking with Temple student-athletes, alumni, fans, coaches, Temple legends, sharing their personal stories, doing deep dives into what it means to be truly Temple-made. So Tuesdays and Fridays, you don't have to do anything. If you've already liked, subscribed, it's going to show up in the same feed. The Owl Pod, the official podcast of Temple Athletics, anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, we are everywhere. All right, with that out of the way, our guest today is Temple Volleyball head coach Linda Hampton-Keith. Coach Hampton-Keith is in her fourth season here at Temple after previously spending 4 years at NC State, where she led the Wolfpack to back-to-back 20-win seasons and the program's first ever NCAA tournament victory. Here is Linda Hampton-Keith after this word from our sponsors.
And we're back with the action. Coke Zero Sugar might be the best Coke ever.
That's right, Jim. With an irresistible taste and zero sugar, Coke Zero Sugar is a must-try for any sports fan. So make sure you... Wait, Jim, I didn't mean try it right now. We're still on the air.
Best Coke ever? Take a taste, Jen.
Really?
No, not right now, Jen. We got a game to call.
Gift for someone who is chronically late, to have someone to be like, hey, I'm running late. That's the dream.
Okay, good.
This is good. I get to sit. Oh, goodness. All right. Well, so this is really your life story.
Okay, well, we'll be here for like 10 minutes because I'm pretty boring.
I don't know. We'll see. So you were, we'll take it all the way. You were born in Gainesville, Florida, is that right?
No, actually, I was born in
well,
LA.
see, the internet's wrong already, so.
Yeah, no.
This is why we do this.
Yeah, no, I was born in LA, actually. UCLA Medical Center, to be exact. So I always tell people, I guess in my blood, I'm technically a Bruin because I was born on their campus, quite literally. So yeah, I was born at UCLA, was dad a military father, and we were at Edwards Air Force Base. And I came, the reason why I had to be shipped in to be born there was I was born about 2.5 months premature and had some developmental things happening. So I spent this first 6 months of my life in the hospital going through surgeries and stuff. So there you go.
Oh my gosh. And so your father is military.
Yeah,
so then did you continue hopping around, or did you being born change any of that, or?
No, that actually just sped it up. No, I think I told the team I was sharing with them, I think I counted one time, I think we've moved 11 times before I hit high school.
Oh my gosh.
So, yeah. So went to multiple schools, changed schools every couple of years. Yeah.
That's got to be I think you either kind of lean into it one way or another. Did you like it? Did you hate that aspect of it? Did it feel normal? Or
yeah,
did it
that's
okay.
I didn't know to like or hate it because it just was the norm. We moved quite a bit. And again, not all to military. After military, he got out and went to school. And so he was doing residencies and internships and things like that through a PA program. And so, but yeah, I was just, my parents were pretty young. So they were in college. So they were going through college while I was a toddler. So yeah.
That's a complicated. I mean, it's like when it hits you, and I'm sure it hits you when you're coaching.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was telling. I was like, this is like coaching, moving around is no problem.
Right.
Yeah, so if anything, I get antsy every 4, 5, 6 years. I'm like, okay, what's
right.
Why am I here still?
Yeah, I need to be more itinerant. Yeah. So. But then you look at, I'm sure it probably hits you twice, right? It hits you once when you become the age that your parents were when they had you. That's one of those like, oh my God, could I imagine having a kid right now? And now you're coaching athletes that are 18, 19, 20, 21 in college and thinking about, oh my goodness, like it's got to give you some perspective, and you have a daughter of your own. Like it's got to give you some perspective on just like, oh my gosh, that is a tough thing to balance school and the military and to do all that in your 20s, I think it's just really...
And have a toddler.
Correct, on top of all of that.
Right.
So all the moving around, you have to do all the, you're meeting new kids, you're starting at schools. I imagine sports is one way, when you're looking for shorthands of things that kind of get you in the circle of kids. Was that something for you? Did you play sports as a kid? What was that thing as you're kind of like moving around school to school that at least like you kind of had that, in, so to speak?
Yeah, no, it definitely was sports. I was playing t-ball and baseball from a young age I did everything, even cheerleading. I don't know if I should say that out loud, but don't tell anybody. No, I'm just kidding. I did like cheerleading. I was just always involved in something. And so I do think, and volleyball, of course, which of course, at 7th grade volleyball, you're not thinking like, oh, this is going to be, you're just trying to get your serve over the net in 7th grade.
Sure.
And so I did, basketball. Like I did a little bit of every track. I did it all. And to your point, I think that was sports is always just a connecting piece that gives you kind of a friend group right away. And so that's, moving around so much was part of that as well. But once I got to high school, it kind of stabilized down. And so I at least went to the same high school all 4 years. But yeah, it was always, I was very band. Again, things I maybe shouldn't. No, I'm just kidding. I'm proud of it. Band. I was in the band.
Listen, you're talking to someone who was like in the AV club, basically. Yeah. I was broadcasting the game. So listen, there's no lack of cool here that you need to worry about.
So, but yeah, I remember running, from band practice, marching band practice, where I was, with my flute out there on the band, and then running in and being like, the jockey, like volleyball player, basketball player. So yeah, I stayed very busy.
Now, when you went to FIU for undergrad, was there any thought of what was then, you say like you pick up volleyball in 7th grade. Was there, at a point, did it become, hey, this is something that I'm going to pursue, if not professionally, at least you have kind of the stars in your eyes, or I'm going to go to the Olympics, or I'm going to, what was your kind of relationship with it from that perspective as a player?
Yeah, I had a interesting journey because I played obviously middle school, high school, club, all of the things, and then really played just 1 year. Went to JUCO and played, and actually did not have a good experience. And so I was like, I'm done. I'm done with volleyball. And so and in the meantime, so once I was there at JUCO, I kind of just was paying for school on my own, kind of going through the process of getting a degree, and but also had come back home and moved back home, and my sisters. So I kind of credit my career to my sisters because I'm much older than they are, and they were just at the age where they were starting to play organized, and they needed a coach. Okay. So I started coaching when I was like 18 years old. Again, not thinking anything of it. Just, hey, they needed a coach. I'm hanging out with my sisters.
How old are they at this point? Like, what is
like 8 or 9.
Okay, so this is like kids volleyball.
Little kids. Yeah. So not thinking anything of it. And so started coaching them when they were really young, and then kept coaching them kind of, through, ended up coaching them in high school. They went to a school that was like K through 12. So at 7th grade, they were like on varsity. So like they were way better than I am. They were way better. I can say it. They were way better than I ever was as a volleyball player. But I think, a lot of it was, they started young. I always tell them I needed a pepper partner. So I just tell them to like stand there with their hands out, and I'd try to hit the ball to them. So, we just kind of grew up, and they grew up with that, going to see my games and going to club tournaments and things like that. So fast forward, I was just kind of making my way through college at that point, and coaching kids and club, and paying again one class at a time, whatever I could afford. And I wasn't really, but I was having some success at the high school level, coaching. And we went to 3 Final Fours as a varsity program and won a state championship. And so then I'm like, oh, this is kind of, hey, winning's fun, like this is kind of fun. But it was really fun because it was cool. I was young, really young, I was 20. And, just building a program, and that was really impactful for not just for me, but obviously the impact I could see that I could have on young people. It was really, I took a big responsibility of that, I really took onus of that. And that's when I was like, okay, well, maybe I could do this in college. But again, I didn't have a degree. And so that's where the FIU, that kind of step in my journey is probably the biggest, most important step. I have a mentor, Cookie Stevens, who was the head coach at FIU. we connected through my sisters. My sisters, again, were much better. They were going through USA Volleyball. They were, at the top of their classes and getting recruited. And so they were very good. And they were playing on some teams, regional teams, and happened to meet Cookie Stevens. She was the head coach at Florida International at the time. I would just kind of shared my dream. This is one of those like lessons, and like, I just kind of was sharing my dream at that point of like, oh man, I'd love to coach in college one day. I don't know what that would be like, just kind of throwing it out there. And then later that season, I was in a high school season. It was probably October, November, and I remember just getting a call. And this is before, we kind of had cell phones, but not really. So I don't even remember how did I get a call? But but I get this call, and she asked if I would be interested in essentially becoming like a GA, because I was still in school, and so went down there, and it was a pretty big step for me, because it was an opportunity to. They were gonna, it was an opportunity to pay for school full time, so now I could get my degree finished the way I would like to do, and instead of going one class at a time. So I literally, moved down there, became a student assistant, got my degree paid for. I always tell people, made it about $800 a month. Slept on some couches,
Probably
whatever.
Never felt like you had more money in your life,
It was great,
Yeah.
And so I was, quite literally like full-time coaching and full-time student. And that was how I kind of really dove into the college and thought, okay, this is really what I want to do.
What was the experience like? Because it's interesting for, big-time college coaches, which you are now, the high school route is not like that's the common path to get into. It's not like, if you're on the outside, you think, oh, yeah, you coach at high school and you move up and you coach at college. Like, that's not how it works. It is an unconventional path. And it is a transition where, you're 20, 21 coaching high school students. It still at least even though you look back now and you're like, there's no difference between a 17-year-old and a 19-year-old. But at the time, it feels huge. You'd feel like, an adult to them.
Right.
And so, but then you get into college and now the gap shrinks again. Even as a student assistant coach, you're right there in age and life experience. And, I'm just wondering like what the high school coaching of it was like for you, and just kind of how that, set you up to at least take that first step, in the college sphere.
I think, with particularly for women coaching, right? Like we obviously expect our, women to have played at a high level and before they coach. And, but it's interesting is, there are a lot of men coaches who never played.
Yeah.
And so I think that's always kind of what I go back to. I remember kind of having, that like crisis of conscience of like, oh my gosh, can I do this? I don't know if I can. Like, I never played. I kind of went through that, of course, early. And I always remember the catalyst for me of like, oh, I can do this. And again, this unconventional path of like, you don't have to play. I remember watching, one of those like sports, like Outside the Lines kind of show. And there was a NFL kicking coach who was wheelchair bound his whole life. And it was a really powerful story for me personally because, I'm watching, I want to say it was for the Dolphins or someone, and there was this kicking coach who was working with a kicker, a professional kicker, and just working with them and communicating. And obviously he can't kick a ball, right? But he has all the tools and was using all of his resources to communicate, and develop a relationship with this kicker. And that was kind of the aha moment for me, was like, wait a minute, I'm sitting here second guessing myself of like, can I do this? I don't know. I didn't play at the super high level, but I've been around the game for years and I don't know if I can do it. And then I saw that and I thought, okay.
Right.
Right. Like I can do this. And a lot of it, again, it really honed in on what coaching really is. And sometimes the mistakes that we make of like thinking someone is, if they're a high level player, they would make a high level coach. And I think that's, if anything, I always kind of say it's the opposite almost, because if you can get someone who has kind of had to fight their way through and they have understood that they can't just show you, I always tell one of my sisters who's very good, I'm like, you would not be a good coach because you're like, just do it like this.
That's exactly it. That's exactly it. And I've seen coaches and I know coaches who were excellent at their sport and it came too easy to them.
Yes.
There is no way. They have that innate, ineffable something, and it doesn't always translate.
And they don't necessarily have the ways to communicate that to someone. So to have someone where, again, you have to learn the skills of coaching. And I think that's what's, after having been in this for so long now, it's very apparent is that coaching in and of itself is a whole entirely different skill set that has nothing to do with the actual skills you're teaching in the sport. It has to do with, again, connection and communicating and, creating a vision for someone and really working with them and being able to say things in different ways that clicks it for different people. And I think that's where, again, coaching becomes an art form in a lot of ways and becomes a skill in and of itself.
Less science and more art. And that actually, it was something I wanted to get to, but I think we're there. I'll kind of breeze through. So you're in the college sphere now. You get your degree from FIU. You're in that, the kind of ecosystem of college coaching and working your way around and up through these programs. I assume at some point, you're talking about the art of it, and certainly that percentage breakdown between the science of the sport itself and the art of coaching, all the stuff that is not hitting a volleyball, has to be, I don't know what the percentages would be, but it has to be a greater and greater percentage as you've gone on. As we move through the years and we're in 2025 now, I'm sure you're probably feeling like you're better positioned now with a greater emphasis on the human side of the sport than someone who's just purely technical and is great at the X's and O's, but can't relate to their play. It feels like that's become a bigger part of certainly the college coaching perspective. Is that fair to say?
Definitely. I think so. I think it's, as I've been in this a long time now, those relationships have evolved.
Yeah.
And I think that's, again, it's all about relationships. And whereas maybe 20 years ago, that relationship felt a little different, even from my seat as an assistant coach. I've always felt like, the head coach was a little bit more removed from what was kind of actually happening on not necessarily a day-to-day, but from the relationship. Like the athletes, they did whatever they were going to do, and the head coach was doing what they're doing. And, it wasn't so much emphasis on that connection piece. And I think as we've evolved, and obviously as we've, as we always say, like, we keep getting older, but the age group stays the same, right? So it's like, but then they change. Not that people change. I don't like that narrative of, the kids these days kind of thing. I don't necessarily subscribe to that, but I do think that what is happening, or what we have to be more aware of, is that there is a larger awareness and ability to communicate in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
And so you kind of have to keep up with that, and you have to understand what matters most. And I do think that there is a lot more emphasis and just focus placed on that relationship. And I think that's important. And it's not just, not just a relationship with, as a head coach, to your athletes, but also the athletes among themselves as a team. Even your assistant coach, like your whole staff, like that program relationship is really at the core of all of this.
Well, yeah, and I don't want to do kids these days either, but, I think when I was starting out in this world, there was almost, like you said, kind of a deliberate separation between the head coach and everyone else. And even in the assistant coaches were who you would go to when you had something going as a player, that you had something going on. And that relationship could be a little bit more informal, but it feels like that wall is kind of, I think, the biggest difference that I see, at least in my perspective now, from where it was maybe 20 years ago. And so as you're going through the ranks and assistant coach, associate head coach, I assume at some point you have in your mind, hey, this is something that I'd like to do as a head coach and lead the program and implement some of the philosophy and the things that you believe in the way you want to. So what was that transition like? First head coaching job is at NC State and, had some tremendous success there. First NCAA tournament victory in the history of the program, taking them to the second round in 2017. So you get all this kind of success right out of the gate. Yeah. Did it feel easy and natural? Is it just like, I was made to do this? What was that transition like for you?
I think the transition was, so when I got into that first opportunity with Cookie at FIU, it was always with the intention to become a head coach at some point. That's just was my thing. I'm like, I'm going to be a head coach. Like, you tell yourself that, and, I have journals written, like, here are all the places I want to be a head coach at. And like, I was really invested in that dream of mine. And so then I went about my career in a way that, Like I'm going to be the best assistant coach I can possibly be. I'm going to learn, I'm going to grow. And if you look at, where I've been and for how long I stayed there, my assistant jobs were pretty long in comparison to like most people. I was at TCU for like 6 years, 6 seasons. I was at Arizona State for like 5, which, and again, assistant coach years is like an eternity.
Yes,
Typically assistants tend to bounce, 1 or 2 years. And so, but it was always kind of with this investment in mind of like, I'm going to just really learn everything I can so that when I do get that opportunity to be a head coach, I'm ready. And then what I didn't realize is that there's no amount of preparation that can prepare you for that. So all of that, and not to belittle the experience. I had tremendous experiences and would not be anywhere close to, where I am without those experiences. But I do very much see like, oh, this did not prepare me to be a head coach. It prepared me to be a great assistant coach. But it wasn't necessarily, even though I would always do things intentionally and put myself in, conferences and conventions and things like that to educate myself. But I just equate it to being a parent. Like you do all the things you're supposed to do to prepare. You buy the diapers.
You read the books.
You have the nursery ready. You have your car seat ready. Like all the things. But there's really just nothing until. And then when you get the baby in your hands, and you're like, "What am I supposed to do with this?"
Yes, it's all out of your brain then.
Right.
Yeah.
So all the preparation isn't for naught. It's there, and
Right.
you need to do it. It's just there's a click that happens that's like, oh, you're in one chair over. We always say like 1 seat over. It's a whole different world.
Yeah.
And I do think that for sure applies. And so it was a lot of learning on the fly. And just, again, management. I think that one thing that I'm pretty passionate about is coaching education, and that piece of it is like understanding kind of how, obviously we always say we're the CEOs of our program, but it really is, you're managing so many facets of everything in your hand. Is, not that you have to kind of walk this fine line. Like, you don't obviously want to micromanage into every detail, but at the same time, you're responsible for that experience that you're providing for the athletes. And so you are pretty locked into all the pieces. And so it's an interesting, it's an interesting position. I love it. But yeah, prepared for it? No, even though I had I was like assistant for 13, 14, 15 years. So I was really good assistant.
Well, it's like to stretch the parent metaphor. It's like being a great babysitter.
Yes,
it's going to help with some things on the margin, but you don't get to give the kids back at the end of the night.
I used to always tell them, I'm like, there are lots of days as an assistant where, you see someone walk in the office and you're like, oh, the head coach is that way.
Yeah. Like, this is above my pay grade.
Yeah,
there is no more.
By my office, and there's the office you want, right? And so it's similar to that. But no, it was again, I wouldn't change my experiences for the world. They were fantastic experiences.
Well, and then I'll continue torturing the metaphor, because then after your time at Louisville, you come to Temple, and so this is like the second kid now. This is so you get to apply all of those things, some of the the lessons, the mistakes, whatever it may be from the first time around. Right. Now, granted, there is having 2 kids. I will tell you, you could try to do all the same things, and it comes out different, or you think you're going to do something different, and it comes out the same. Right. So it's not like that always works, but I'm sure there have to be some things now that you're in the midst of this run with Temple and kind of the second time through. Things that you were able to learn, both good and bad, from that that first experience around at NC State that have helped you in this time as a head coach.
Yeah, definitely. I think again the experience. And then there was that whole thing called COVID right there in the middle of all that too.
Yes,
right?
indeed.
And so I think that really just kind of helped time wise, and just just getting locked back in with where are your values, what is it that is important to you, and quite honestly, at that point, at that juncture too, it was like, and do I want to really do this? Like, is this really where I want to be and where I want, is this the best place for me? Really, to be honest. And it, and I was kind of, of course, for a moment there was like, nah, let me figure this out. And then I was like, no, this is where I want to be. And I've really invested a lot, and I care deeply about it.
Well, you can't do it if you don't. It's too it's too hard.
Yeah, and I think
there's
the hard,
too much.
right?
Yeah,
like even though it was a difficult time, I cared really deeply.
Yeah,
and so once I kind of was able to say, okay, no, this matters. It matters to me. It matters to this part of what it is, how I want to influence the world in a way, and how, when we're all trying to find our purpose, you're like, this is how I want to fulfill my, purpose is by helping others fulfill theirs in a way. And so, volleyball is the vehicle that we do it, and college is the setting. And I think it's such an important time in the lives of young women. And I really take that to heart and take a big responsibility in that experience of making sure that as, I always say, I'm like, these are our young women or young adults. They're not children.
Mm-hmm.
But we also do recognize that they're shifting away from a big moment in their lives of, they've never been away from home before. This is the first time where they're going to venture out and kind of figure themselves out outside of what they've always known. And so I think that's a really important time in your life. And so I take a big responsibility in, again, I don't see my role as a parent. I'm not there to be a parent, but I'm there to help connect, help them connect from one side to the other of that college experience, and to always look back and say, hey, we were able to you're able to grow and change and shift into the woman that you are now at 22, 3, 4, that you can draw a direct link back to the experience that you had as being able to serve you well. And not to say that those times aren't always easy, or even fun, but they're meaningful. And when that you can meet challenges outside. So when you go into whatever world you're going to go into, the corporate world, whatever world, you're going to go into, that you can make direct correlations back to the experience you had as a Division I athlete. And that says, hey, I can push through this, or, I can rise to the level that I need to make big things happen. I think those are really important things.
Well, this is something that ties in nicely. I was going to ask you about it more as a curiosity, but I think it now, hearing your explanation of your story and how you got into coaching in the first place, I think it makes complete sense that when you look at your staff currently, you have two of your former players, recent former players here at Temple on that staff, Olivia Vance, who came in here as a transfer and is now a full-time assistant coach, and Taylor Davenport, who just finished as her eligibility as a graduate student athlete here at Temple and is now a graduate student coach. And is that, I imagine, just hearing your story about, your mentor at FIU and the way that is this now kind of part of the pay it forward aspect of it? Like, is there something in that kind of that level of mentorship that you received that now you're in a position to actually kind of pay it back to others?
Well, I didn't think about it like that before, Kevin. Now that you say that, I don't think that was a conscious thing. I think it was just, heck, I'm really excited that they're on the staff, and as I call them, my resident young people, right? Like, I call them, like, let's consult the resident young folks, when it comes to social media or things like that. But I think to your point is, it's really, I don't know, it's actually one of the more exciting and meaningful things. I think I'm really excited about having Olivia and Taylor both on the staff, and they've done a great job. And I, hopefully they'll continue coaching. I think we need good young women to stay in the coaching profession. I think it's a tough profession, but it's also, they're tough people. So we need tough young women to continue forward. There's been a lot of retirements lately in the world of volleyball. And so I actually was joking with some of my friends in the coaching profession. And I was like, hey, I'm kind of looking around. I'm like, I think we're the old ones now. Like, is that where we're at now?
When did that happen?
Yeah, it definitely feels that way. But yeah, I think, if I would, I didn't think of it as a mentor, but yeah, absolutely. I think, I'm really proud of them both, and really excited again. I think it says something positive when your players can come back and be a part of your staff, and they can kind of help you bridge that gap a little bit from, with the athletes, but at the same time, hopefully show them a career path that's viable and exciting. It's super exciting. I was having that conversation with someone too. I'm like, it's really cool. It's, you got to be ready to, when coaching profession is hard no matter what sport, I think, you've got to have the right support to do it. And I've been very lucky in that way.
All right, this is the last time I get to do the toss to David and Amelia. They will take it over from here before they set out on their own beginning next Tuesday, September 16th for their final Friday interview. They had the chance to catch up with Amelia's own teammate from Temple Lacrosse. Here's David and Amelia with Jenna Facciolli. After this word from our sponsors.
From Westchester to Doylestown, from Drexel Hill to Lansdale to Philly, we all look out for each other, stepping up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years, and that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you. Learn more at IBX.com.
Welcome back to another episode of the Owl Pod. I'm your host, David Litvin. Alongside me, my co-host,
Amelia Wright.
If this is your first time listening to the pod, welcome. If this is not your first time, it means you've either subscribed or followed us, so thank you for that. You can find us on Instagram at Temple Sac. That's SAAC, Temple Sac. Last time, we had the pleasure of speaking with Amelia Budd, our social media coordinator. And Amelia, I will let you introduce our special guest today.
Yes, today one of our guests is my beloved teammate, Jenna Facciolli. She's a sophomore on the women's lacrosse team. I'm going to let her tell a little bit more about herself right now. And, give us a little bit of background of you. And why did you choose Temple, Jenna?
Hi, thank you for having me today. I'm super excited. I'm from Reading, Pennsylvania. I am a junior on the women's lacrosse team.
I'm sorry, it takes me a good month to adjust to everyone's new grades.
That's
so
okay. I keep thinking I'm a sophomore as well. I'm an early childhood education major here and attacker on the lacrosse team, and I love playing with you. I have the pleasure to play with you every day, and I'm so glad you're back here for a 5th year, and I'm excited to be here.
Well, thank you for that, Jenna. I needed a little bit of confidence after getting your grade wrong. All right, so you're from PA, so you got a little bit more connection with David on that part. But what brought you to Temple, and why were you interested in coming to Temple?
Yeah, honestly, Temple was one I haven't thought about a lot, but as soon as I got the emails and visited campus, I knew I wanted to come here. So I'm so glad I made the decision because I think it's the best choice I made in my life so far, and I love it here. The atmosphere, the coaches, our team, the school, I think everything is amazing. So,
yeah, I can definitely relate to that. Like Amelia mentioned, for those listened previously, grew up right outside of city, Philadelphia. Never thought of Temple really until decided to transfer here, and then once I got here, I was definitely blown away. I have to ask real quick, going back to being from Reading, did you go to Reading High School?
I didn't. I'm like 10 minutes from there. I went to Wilson High School.
I was going to say, because my beloved high school, Lower Merion, played a lot of basketball games against Reading High School. I know they have quite a high school basketball team up there, so I didn't know if that's where you went to high school.
Yeah, they're great. Right around the corner. Our rivals. Yeah,
but no, that's great. But really, interested to hear more about early childhood education. We'll get into, an award that you have recently won, but tell us a little bit about the program here at Temple. What kind of got you interested in being a teacher and kind of your experience doing student teaching in the city? If I'm not mistaken, you've done already, what is it, a semester or partial, part-time? Yeah. Can you kind of explain that experience working? I know you did some work up north at a elementary school, was it?
Yes, elementary school. Last semester, we call them practicums, where you go into the classroom and get to observe and work with kids. I was up north in Gilbert Spruance Elementary School working with kindergartners last semester, which was awesome. I absolutely loved it, and it kind of just totally encouraged my whole passion for teaching, and so it made me super excited. And this semester, I am relocated, and I get to work with first graders, so I'm also excited to just see a different grade and experience it again. I love being with the kids, and so I'm super pumped for that to get started.
Yeah, and on that, real quick, how are you able to, like, what did the schedule look like for being able to do student teaching as well as being a full-time student athlete? How did that kind of work with your schedule?
Yeah, it's honestly a little complicated. Practice we have for hours, and we practice at different times in the fall and the spring. Fall is in the morning, spring's in the afternoon. So just trying to work around that. And practicum, you can't really change your times. It's not like an hour class, it's a full day. So just trying to work around that. If I'm leaving practice early, trying to make up those hours, or talking to my mentor teachers and just trying to make up hours if I do have to miss for lacrosse. It's a little complicated, but it's all worth it. And all the teachers have been really great and understanding.
That's awesome. Glad that you can like balance all that and be so good at so many different facets of life. I have a little bit of insider scoop to this answer here because I feel like we've talked about this a little bit, but what's your kind of motivation to go into teaching, and how you talked before about how you felt like your work really like ensured that that's kind of what you want to do. So how did you know that you wanted to do that and get into it?
Yeah, well, I come from a family of teachers. My dad's an 8th grade science teacher. My brother's currently student teaching to become a physical education teacher. My grandparents were all teachers, and aunts, uncles, all of that. But they aren't just the reason. I've just always wanted to be. Since I was younger, I loved playing school and with my friends and being the teacher. I had so much fun doing it, and I've always loved kids. I babysit all of the time. I love working with kids, so I knew that's something I wanted to do once I graduated.
Yeah, that's awesome. I feel like, especially like at that age that you're teaching, you can have like such an impact on like students' life, especially like maybe it's probably a different experience like teaching more in the city than back home. Do you know, like, it's probably hard to say, but like once you graduate, is there like an area maybe in Pennsylvania or in the country that you would prefer to teach at, like a certain location, or are you just kind of open to whatever?
I would love to stay in Pennsylvania, but I'm open to new experiences, and whatever opportunities may come in front of me, I would love to take on. So I'm not really opposed to trying anything new, but I would love to stay around here or around my hometown in Reading.
Cool. And so now we're going to go into kind of the awesome award that Jenna was granted. And this is, I didn't really know until I did a little bit of research on it, but I'm sure a lot of people will know about it. But it's from the College Football Playoff Foundation, the Dr. Pepper Go Teach Award. So Jenna won a grant. And do you want to just kind of tell us, how did you hear about this award, or I know you submitted a video for it, so can you tell us a little bit on how you got it and what you get for doing that?
Yeah, of course. It was actually kind of a last-second thing. I received a text that they wanted to nominate me for this award, and I had limited time. I had like 24 hours to record and submit a video talking about why I wanted to become a teacher and my experiences with that. So that's what I did. I recorded a video as soon as possible, and we sent it in. And then a little bit while after, I received an email that I had won this grant, which is, I think it's an amazing thing that they're doing for student athletes who are becoming educators, and I'm really honored to have won.
Yeah, that's awesome. Must have been some video.
Shout out Robin.
Yeah,
and the media team.
Shout out to the media team for that, coming together 24 hours short notice. That's really awesome. I know that College Football Playoff Foundation, I know they partner with Dr. Pepper a lot. Mm-hmm. I was disappointed to hear that they're not bringing you to the College Football Playoff.
Yeah, I want to watch Jenna kick a field goal because
no, I think they do. Don't
really
they
curious.
Throw the footballs into like the cans?
Oh,
they do that as well.
I feel like I've seen both, but
I've seen some pretty bad throws on that thing.
Yeah,
especially with that.
There might be a reason they're going into teaching and not being a quarterback.
You could definitely say that, but I think we should try to figure out a way to get you to the College Football Playoff.
Yeah,
maybe the podcast
awesome.
will give them some motivation to get Jenna out there.
Yeah, CFP, if you're listening, send Jenna Final
Four.
Four.
She's good at throwing. I see it every day.
She's ready to
practice.
throw. Yeah. Perfect. Well, that's awesome. I think, congratulations.
Proud of you, Jenna.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. On that note, talking about the College Football Playoff.
Yeah.
I think it might be a good time to segue into
everyone's favorite segment.
I mean, it's our favorite.
Yeah.
If you're listening,
it's most fun.
It's either your favorite.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, Jenna. We love learning about our fellow student athletes.
Well, Jenna's excited for Temple Takes.
Yes.
Oh, I'm very
Everyone
excited.
should be.
I think everyone's on the edge of their seat.
All right, what's the theme this week, David?
Well, the time this episode's coming out, will be about the middle of September. So we thought it'd be appropriate to have a fall edition of Temple Takes.
Yeah.
So, Amelia, do you want to start us off with our first take?
Well, since we just talked about college football, should we start with our college football takes on that?
Would love to.
Upcoming football season, or now it's kind of football NFL season we got.
Yeah, let's talk about our first one, which is the college football game day experience across the country. I know here at Temple, a bit of a unique experience with us playing down at the link, but give me your take on the college football game day experience. Is that overrated or underrated?
I think, honestly, I would say it's hard for me to say, but if I had to pick, I would say overrated.
Woo!
Yeah, I know.
Now the gate's hot here.
Yeah, now I'm going to get passionate.
Yeah,
okay.
wow.
I would say,
Explain.
but again, maybe it's because there is a unique experience here at Temple. It's hard for some of us, especially playing sports, to make it down to games a lot and have that experience. But from what I do see, and I have experienced games like at Penn State, I wouldn't say those are overrated.
I think that team is actually forbidden on this podcast.
Yeah.
Oh,
is the old Penn State. So
okay.
I know you were going to say you had a terrible experience.
Yeah,
at that,
of course.
college.
That's why I think it's overrated.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But no, I think it can live up to the hype. I mean, the tailgating, the atmospheres, the high stake games. I mean, you can't go wrong there. Lots of fun, but for me personally,
You're going underrated.
Wait,
okay.
so I got to ask, just to follow up, because, I mean, we came out of the gates just firing hot takes. Are you more of like an NFL Sunday type of game day experience?
yes, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
I
think
can
that's why
respect
my
that.
answer's different.
Yeah.
Okay. Amelia, what say you?
So for that reason, I think my answer is different. I'm going underrated. I think it's so different growing up in the South, and I know this may confuse some people because my whole life people have confused this. I am from Georgia. I am an Alabama fan. My family's from Alabama. My dad went to Alabama, so roll tide till the day I die. But I think growing up with that SEC environment and going to games in the SEC, that's just an unreal experience that, I think people in the North just don't grasp because it's more of, NFL-based things. But I'm going underrated. I will watch. I think Saturdays are better than Sundays in my professional opinion.
Yeah. It's funny. I feel like if you told me that 3 years ago, my hair would be on fire because of how much I disagree. But I actually, being a college student has made me appreciate college football a lot more. So my answer is actually underrated, but I will take different reasoning. Will not say roll tide on this podcast. I find that slightly offensive. But anyway, I've been to more Temple football games in the last year than I'd ever been to in my life. And I think once you actually get down to the stadium, the atmosphere, the tailgating scene, having it be at the Eagle Stadium, it's actually pretty cool. If you go a couple hours before the game, a bunch of people are tailgating. You got the band there, the cheerleaders. It's a fun college environment. More people need to make their way down to the link, especially.
For sure.
We'll get into the football team later on in the podcast, but I actually think the Temple football game day experience a little underrated.
That is. I agree on that.
All right, let's move on to our next take. You wanna take us away?
Sticking with the sports theme, we're gonna get some opinions on Red October here.
It's coming up.
Yeah.
It's middle of September, but
hopefully.
Yeah.
Is it confirmed yet?
It by the time this podcast is out, it'll more than certainly be confirmed that the Phillies are playing postseason baseball.
Okay.
Down at the bank. So I know maybe down in the South you don't have as much exposure. I don't know, were you a Braves fan growing up? Or?
I was a Braves fan growing up.
Okay.
Yep. But personally, as I just shared my passion for football, I'm not really the biggest baseball fan. So I'm going to go underrated on this one. Although I was here for the World Series run, and I think that was a great time for Philly. It was an amazing time to be here celebrating that. But I hate to say it, like baseball's just kind of boring.
Wait, so you mean overrated? Because you said underrated.
Oh, yes, overrated. Sorry. Yes, I think baseball in general. I might get ridiculed for this. I think baseball in general is overrated.
Okay, I mean, I can agree. I'm not the hugest baseball fan. They can be a little long, but I kind of feel like it's underrated. Especially if you don't live in Philly, you have no idea what it's like to be living in Philly during Red October. I can't speak for actually being inside the stadium in one of the games yet, but I hope to be because from what I see and what I've heard, it seems pretty amazing.
Yeah, Jenna hit this one on the head. I don't know. You can't tell me postseason baseball is boring. I mean, this is about as exciting.
4 hours, bro.
No. Commissioner Rob Manfeld has done a nice job of shortening the length of the game, but
I do like the pitch clock.
Pitch clock's great. But I would just say postseason baseball in Philadelphia is better than any postseason sport. Yes, that includes the Eagles. Yes, that includes.
Wow, that is a hot take.
That's a little.
Wow.
No, that's just anyone who's a true Philadelphian knows there is nothing like a Red October at the bank. I can say firsthand, I was lucky enough when they were in the World Series a couple years ago to go to one of the games.
Okay.
And there's nothing more exciting than postseason baseball in this city. And it is even though I know that to be true, hearing your answer makes me need to emphasize that it is underrated still. And I think maybe this playoff run, you'll lean a little bit more into Red October. But there's nothing like Phillies postseason baseball, so underrated.
Yeah,
so.
I agree.
We can have different passions. It's okay.
Sure is. All right, moving on. Let's take a little sharp turn here. Sticking with the fall theme. Let's throw out pumpkin spice blank. It could be a latte, it could be pie, it could be muffins. You know, I love talking about muffins on this podcast. Give me your take on pumpkin spice. It's such a fall, what do you call it?
Seasonal flavor, staple.
It's a fall flavor.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You can go first, David. Talk about your muffins. We know you want to.
Yeah, it's underrated. I mean, pumpkin spice is probably my favorite flavor of anything. Yeah, you heard
Crazy take?
No, it's great.
Wow.
I don't drink coffee, so I can't speak for the lattes. I heard they're delicious, though, by the way, especially at Wawa. No free sponsors, so Wawa, feel free to sponsor the pod.
Give us an NIL deal, please.
Yeah, there you go. But I love everything pumpkin spice. We'll talk about the muffins because I love muffins. They're delicious. Pumpkin pie, like one of the more underrated pies out there. So, I mean, like fall feels like a pie. We could put pies on Temple Takes, but
we didn't. Over pumpkin any day.
No, that's just false. But a good pumpkin pie. I'm a pumpkin spice person, so I will put that at underrated.
I'm going right after you because I second everything you said. I could eat pumpkin spice year round, and that's why I love the fall because it's everywhere. From the lattes, I love Wawa's pumpkin spice coffee. I mean, making your own coffee in that little area is the greatest thing ever, and it's delicious.
It honestly makes me want to drink coffee.
Yeah.
Just seeing
I think you
that
have to
little
try
area.
it. Yeah. Everything pumpkin spice. I'm so excited to hit up Trader Joe's, get all of their...
Have you ever... Okay, this is great. You just said Trader Joe's. I was going to mention something. I'm like, there's no way no one can relate to this. Have you ever had the pumpkin spice, like, brioche bread?
No.
From Trader Joe's?
No.
You got to grab it.
Oh, my gosh.
It's the pumpkin spice pretzels?
Yeah.
Yogurt?
Again, no free sponsors. Shout out Van Wagner. But, like, let's get some, maybe some of the businesses that we shouted out if you want to, sponsor this podcast.
Send us some food.
You know where to find us. Temple Sack.
Gift cards.
That's 2 A's.
Yeah.
Instagram. All right, Amelia. Give us your...
All right. I guess I'm the outlier per usual here. I'm going pumpkin spice is overrated.
Wow.
I think it's also a crazy take to say that you would have it all year round.
Oh, I do. I mean, I have it in my spice cabinet year round, and I put it on everything.
In the summer, too. It's hot outside, and you want a pumpkin drink.
There's nothing wrong with that, though.
If I make an iced coffee at home, I'm throwing some pumpkin spice in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think you're overthinking. It is a fall flavor, but you don't have to... It's not tied to fall. You can have it year round.
Okay, I understand that, but I'm just going to say this is going to be like the opposition of your take here, Jenna. My favorite flavor of all time, peppermint mocha.
Ooh.
And I know that's it. David is like, looks mad at me after saying that.
The peppermint one is interesting. I feel like we might have to hold that one till the December rolls around. We can debate peppermint on the pod, but
yeah, but okay, I'll end it there. I'm going overrated. I think it's good, but not my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a bit of a unique one for the fall list here. Now that I'm looking at it, but our next take, and I brought this up because I'm a recent subscriber, but talk to me about ESPN Plus, because I'll just go off and say this app or this program is
top tier.
It's very underrated. There's a lot to watch on ESPN Plus, and I feel like being a college student, especially if you're a college sports fan, you know ESPN Plus, you're just missing out. They have every sport. You can even go back and watch replays.
Mm-hmm.
ESPN Plus is underrated. I think they deserve a shout out on this podcast.
I agree. I think underrated. I think that ties in great with the college football stuff, but the sports go way beyond that. Like, I've watched men's volleyball on there. Like, it literally has every single sport.
Big men's volleyball fan over here.
Well, I love sports.
Yeah, I
but
hear you.
Also, that was in the spring. There's
not much.
Yeah, but David, also Temple Women's Lacrosse is on ESPN Plus, and we have been for years. So I'm glad now you can watch our away games. That's also a shout out.
I'll be tuned in.
Watch us in the spring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Completely underrated. If you don't have ESPN Plus, I don't really know what you're doing, because
how are you watching college sports?
You can't even watch any of our games. So yeah,
how are you watching me and Jenna on the field?
Yeah, you have to have it.
Yeah.
There you go. Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad we can all agree on one.
That's good.
There we go.
Well, that brings us to our last Temple take of the podcast. Going
Perfect
back to
one.
the food/flavor scene, let's talk about buffalo chicken dip.
Can I start on this one?
Jenna's ready to go.
She has a big smile
the
on her
mic,
face.
The mic is yours.
Biggest smile from ear to ear, because I think buffalo chicken dip is probably one of the greatest things ever invented. That's kind of like the pumpkin spice. I could eat it year round. Don't care what the event is. Don't care the time of day. I will eat it whenever, wherever. It's amazing. And I mean, that ties into the football. I mean, Sunday footballs.
Oh my gosh.
In your home during the fall with a pumpkin spice candle, eating buffalo chicken dip. Oh my gosh, you cannot go wrong.
Yeah, I hear you. I think buffalo chicken dip's an interesting one. I'm going to make this way more complicated than it needs to be, but I know the viewers, everyone probably loves that, but we need to clarify, is this with ranch or blue cheese?
Ranch.
Okay.
Always.
I'm just making sure, because buffalo chicken dip with ranch, certainly underrated. It is great. It's a great dip. You go chips, you go anything, really. I'm a big fan, but with the blue cheese, I'm out.
I was about to say, I was scared of what you were about to say there.
Yeah.
I'm automatically out if it's blue cheese.
I don't
so that's kind of where I hesitate. It's I like buffalo chicken dip, but if there's any sort of blue cheese, you can.
Well, I could do the blue cheese too.
You're any type. You're all weather.
Anything. Yep.
I've never heard of it really with blue cheese, because I feel like.
Well, I feel like buffalo's sauce and blue cheese.
Yeah, that's the pairing.
No, so I'm with you, Jenna. I'm maybe not as strongly pro buffalo chicken dip, but I agree. Sunday football, buffalo chicken dip, sign me up.
Saturday football, buffalo chicken
Either
dip.
any day of the week.
Come on,
Saturday and Sunday.
I'm as well going underrated. I think it hits so different. It is always delicious, and if there's a pan in front of me, you will have to take it away, because it's that good.
Yeah, I agree.
There we go. All right, well, that wraps up this segment, Temple Takes. Again, if you have takes, fire DMs. So far, you guys have been a little quiet, so I'm hoping by the time this episode rolls around, you guys are in our DMs giving us some takes.
Mm-hmm.
Moving on, we'd love to give a couple shout-outs to some upcoming home events for our beloved Temple Owls, starting with our Temple football team taking on the Oklahoma Sooners. September 13th. That
Big
is
game at
Saturday, the day after that this episode comes out. So be sure to head down to the link, catch that game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to miss that one. That's a big time matchup. I know that they're
that's
coming
gonna be a
off.
good time.
They're coming off a Michigan team that's pretty good. So now I got a meeting with the Owls. So wouldn't want to miss that. September the 13th. It's the day after this podcast comes out on a Saturday. Go down and watch our Owls. The following week, September the 16th, men's soccer is playing home
against the Lafayette Leopards. That's at 7 p.m.
In
at
St.
TSC.
Louis.
If you're a student on campus, head south on Broad for about a half mile. TSC. If you don't know where it is, now you do.
Mm-hmm.
Be there. Show up for our Temple men's soccer. At the time, they just wrapped up a road trip to Ohio. They played some pretty good soccer.
That was this weekend, so.
This past weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah. They played some pretty good soccer.
Some ranked teams, yeah.
Yeah. So go catch our Temple Owls against Lafayette September the 16th, 7 p.m. at TSC.
Yeah, go Owls.
All right.
Go
Take us
Owls.
away, Amelia, to our last segment.
All right. This is everyone's favorite segment, Other than Temple Takes, you could say everything is everyone's favorite.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of great segments, but I love wrapping up the podcast with a little hour foul.
I think this is our more creative name. So owl or foul. For those of you that don't know, our owl is something that's soaring upwards. Shout out to Soar the Eagle.
Keyword is soaring upwards. Yes.
Yeah, the American Conference mascot, Soar. Yeah, and then the foul is pretty self-explanatory.
What it sounds like.
Yeah. All right, and this week, the soaring upwards is going to be Temple football because they came off a hot start against Massachusetts. What did I Massachusetts.
Went up there. Evan Simon, 6 touchdowns.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Clark, shout out.
Big shout out.
2 touchdowns. Great performance on the road.
Oh, yeah.
Really exciting start to the season.
Statement win right there.
Yeah.
Made a statement. Coach Keeler got his first win. Temple football is soaring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
On the other hand,
you can be negative this time.
On the other hand, our foul. This one has nothing to do with athletics, but everything to do with the on-campus vibes. And I think all three of us have an input on this. It's time we have a conversation about driving through campus, and not just driving through campus, maybe recklessly driving through campus.
Especially at the peak of class change time when campus, as we talked about last week, is the most packed we've ever seen it.
Yeah, we just spoke about it. When campus is packed, I've never seen so many people on this campus, which is great. But from the hours of let's call it 11 to 3, this campus gets pretty busy. And if you're driving through campus, there's a stop sign. I don't know. It's definitely a Philly driver thing to just not stop. But if you're on campus, can you guys just find the brake pedal a little bit more?
Yeah.
Because we're trying to walk here. We got places to go.
Yeah, we got classes to attend that we're paying for.
And honestly, it's kind of frustrating, especially when you're going to rev the engine and all that.
Or honk your horn.
Yeah. Let's
aggressively.
Let's find a proper speed when strolling through campus.
Yeah.
We're annoyed.
I think the horn's the most annoying thing. It's someone's patiently waiting for us to cross, and then they're 10 cars back, slamming their horn, anything else is going to happen.
Yeah. But shout out to the crossing guard that's right by
Oh,
outside
yeah.
Mazur.
He works
saves
wonders.
lives.
Yeah, crossing guard outside Mazur. It's
Thank
the same
you, sir.
one.
Yeah.
I swear.
He's
same
awesome.
one.
With the whistle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got the whistle going. We need one of those on every
Yeah,
intersection.
we do.
But also, maybe if you're driving in Philly, just honestly avoid the Temple campus.
The 2 streets.
Yeah,
That's
it's
all
for both of our goods. It's for the greater good.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that wraps up episode 3. If you've listened for this long, thank you.
Hope you enjoyed.
Make sure to subscribe, bookmark our pod.
Mm-hmm.
Don't miss the next episode. We come out with episodes every Friday.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time. Thanks for coming on, Jenna.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Go Owls.
Go Owls.
Go Owls.
All right, everyone, that's this week's episode of the Owl Pod. I want to thank my co-hosts, David and Amelia, our guest today, Linda Hampton-Keith and Jenna Facciolli. A reminder, next Tuesday, David and Amelia are back with their weekly wrap-up episode. They'll be talking with Temple Field Hockey's Peyton Rigger. I'll be back with you next Friday. We have a great conversation. It's Field Hockey Week on the Owl Pod. We have Temple Field Hockey alum and legend Sharifa Howarth, the namesake of Temple's Howarth Field. So we have 2 brand new episodes next week, Tuesday and Friday. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe, give us a rating. Please tell your friends. You can listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, YouTube, anywhere you get your podcasts. There we are. Special thanks, as always, to Christy Bannon, Justin Miller, Prince Moody, and our executive producer, Dan Lobaz. I'm Kevin Kopp. Thank you all so much for listening, everyone, and go Owls.